Okay, so if you are going to look at a long time in prison, something that may cross your mind is escaping from prison. Now, at one point, I was looking at a life sentence in prison, and obviously, escape did cross my mind. I really didn't think that I had anything else to lose. So, what was what was going to be the cost to maybe another few more years on top of a life sentence? So, what I did is I extensively thought about all the different ways I could escape from prison. Now, I never actually did any of them, but what I'd do is I thought I'd let you know about the ways I did think about getting out of there. Okay, so I thought I'd start with the police station. Now, this is obviously the first place you find yourself lumbered when you've been arrested. So I had an opportunity when I was in a video parade, a video ID parade at Newquay Police Station. Where they do the ID parade was in an office upstairs, and outside of the office I could see the window was open, and it was open just enough that I would have been able to just run and jump and kind of push the window further open and get out kind of head first, and then run off into town. I didn't know what was underneath the window at the time, so I didn't go through with the escape attempt, but yeah, that would have been my first attempt at escaping from custody. What I would possibly have thought of also is if you knew that at some point you were likely to get arrested, you could arrange with people to check out the escape yard, and if you had the means to do this, escape the escape yard. What am I talking about? The exercise yard. Because normally the exercise yard had just got a cage on top of them or something. You could Google Earth the pictures of your local police station to see what the exercise yard looks like. And I suppose if you really needed to get out badly enough, then you could cause some sort of distraction in the town to make sure that all the police were a couple of miles away on the other side of town, and then somehow arrange for that time to be when you are on your out in the exercise yard, and someone would come along with a disc cutter and cut through the bars on the top of the grate. Now, obviously, this takes a lot of coordination, and you're going to hope that the police don't rush out and come and grab you in the exercise yard while that's going on. So it's not really likely or a feasible escape attempt. When you go from there, you normally go in a Securicor van first thing in the morning to the magistrates' courts. You always go to magistrates' courts first from the police station, no matter what crime you're accused of, even if it's murder or something terror related. So you know it's going to be a long time in prison. They'll always send you to the magistrates first, who will then automatically refer you up to the Crown Courts. So you're in a Securicor van. There's always these kind of rumours that you can escape from those Securicor vans by kind of like kicking out the panel in the roof and things like this. And I don't think that would actually work anymore, because otherwise you'd be seeing people every day just popping the way out of these vans and legging it off. So then obviously you've got the courts. Now, some courts don't have the big plastic screens, so you see a lot of people jumping out of the dock and just legging it out of maybe a fire exit or out even through the front door of the courts. Some people will have obviously cars waiting for them, and and people helping them do this. I noticed when I was being taken from the courts to the Securicor van at the end of the day that the guy who handcuffed me also had the keys to the handcuff. Now, this shouldn't happen. The person who's handcuffed to you shouldn't be able to unlock the handcuffs for obvious reasons. So if I take him hostage, he shouldn't be able to unlock me. And also, if anyone runs up on us, there should be somebody else that's involved to be able to unlock us. It shouldn't be the guy who's handcuffed to me. So that was always something I thought of was a bit of a weak point, because when you come out of the courts in Truro, especially, you're in a little secure driveway just outside, but the van is just the same height as the wall. so you could easily just jump up on top of the van and then hop over the wall and get out. Also, the Secure Call van, it trundles off up to Exeter. If you were a big enough criminal and you had the resources to get yourself out, the guys who drive the van, they're basically just paid security guards, trained to drive the van and basically escort you from one place to another. They're not highly trained officers. They're not fucking athletes by any stretch of the imagination. So you could easily overpower them if you were to come up on the motorway with a few cars and just box off the van and make it pull over. You've probably got a few minutes that you could get into the van and release anybody in the van that you wanted to, and these guys would just roll over probably. There's probably lots of examples online. We'll have a look online as well in a minute and see what we can find about escape attempts and things. So after that, once you get to the prison itself, it's probably a lot more difficult to escape because you're actually in the place that's designed to keep you a lot more efficiently. So, but even the prison itself, it's only difficult to escape because you haven't got any resources. Essentially, it's just the wall and the barbed wire on the inside that stops you from just running away. The walls are often 10 foot plus with a row of double barreled razor wire inside. There's always a rumour that the razor wire is illegal, but the prison system just pays the fine every year because it's better to have it there and pay the fine than it is to not have it there and have every Tom, Dick and Harry just running at the wall and trying to Spider-Man over it. Yeah, I don't know if that's true. It might be worth looking it up or researching it before I said it. But once you're inside the prison, it's not impossible to escape. You do still get people doing it, and you hear of people doing it. So the obvious, and if you could James Bond it and had any means possible, you'd just go from the exercise yard. So especially in Exeter and other places, the exercise yard is quite open in B and C camp prisons. You could get a helicopter with a little rope ladder, and at an arranged time, helicopter yourself out of prison and do it that way, off to a waiting car or something a few miles away, and away you go. Now, obviously, if you've got the resources to get a helicopter pilot, and all of that, then possibly you wouldn't find yourself landed in prison. But that would be the easiest way to do it because, like I say, once you're in prison, especially in Exeter, it's only just a fence and a wall that stops you being right in the middle of town. You'd be surprised how close you are to prisoners at some point. If you go around to the back of the prison, that back wall towards the back east side, it's it's the same wall as the gym. So you're within feet of prisoners most of the day. So I often thought of an escape. It was the old Reggie Cray one. I think that's how they got him out. They backed a van right up against the prison wall and then threw a rope ladder over so that he could climb over from one side and there wouldn't be a big drop on the outside. And then they just drove off in the van and got him away. I thought, what an amazing way of doing it. And if I ever got a really long time, then that would possibly be one of the ways I'd get out, because there are, like I say, some places in Exeter when you are right next to the outside wall for quite a lot of the time. So that's the helicopter is the fantasy escape plan, and obviously the van worked for Reggie. What am I saying? Reggie Cray? It wasn't Reggie. Did I say Reggie Cray? I meant the bank robber, Buster Edwards. Was it him? I think it was him. The one who ran off to Brazil. Yeah, him. Apologies. That was the guy who got out that way, I think. Anyway, so that would be the fantasy way, getting out with the helicopter, and the great train robber way, getting out through the van on the wall. Open prisons see a lot of people just walking away from them because even though they do have a fence around them, a lot of them, prisoners are supposed to stay on the wing and things. Now, unfortunately, prisoners are still prisoners a lot of the place. They're drinking in there, they're still taking drugs. If they get caught doing any of these things or breaking any of the rules, they do end up being shipped back to a CCAT establishment. So what you'll do is they'll go on the run quickly before they get shipped out and have a few weeks or months on their toes before they get sent back to the proper prisons. Even lads who just have enough of it and just want a little bit of time out can end up just fucking off and running away for a bit. So yeah, DCAT prisons, or the lowest category prisons in the UK, are not really really difficult to escape from, but it's still you still have to walk away, or sometimes climb over a little fence to get away. Now, Dartmoor was a place where back in the day it used to have hundreds of people that would go out on the farm that was right next door to the prison. So it would be a lot easier for people to escape from Dartmoor. But the problem was that you've got a 20-mile. The closest town is Plymouth, and it's about you've got Tavistock that's about 10 miles away, but the closest big town is about 20 miles away. So you've got a long distance to kind of run across moorland, fields, farmland, bogs, like marshland, all this kind of stuff. It's it's not notoriously a difficult place to be for no reason. So a lot of people can escape from Dartmoor, but they never really got very far before they got caught by the local police, the Marines, and everyone else. And because they got a Marines barracks not far from on Dartmoor, and they got a firing range just the other side of Dartmoor. So there's always army and military people about as well. So yeah, it's people can escape from Dartmoor, but you're always caught quite quickly. There's a couple of famous people, obviously, who were down there. One of them being the Krays, one of the Kray gangs, Mad Axeman. He decided to escape one day. He'd had enough of being in prison. He was out on the farm, so he just went down to the town one day and got picked up in a car and drove off. And it wasn't till later on in that day that they realised he was gone. So they did a massive manhunt, like I say, the Marines, the police, everyone was out looking for him, searching the moor. But even by the time they'd realised he was gone, he was probably halfway to London by that point, and searching the moor was absolutely pointless. But they looked for him. It was huge manhunt, and he ended up being in a bedsit in London for a lot of the time. They kind of the Krays locked him up there, and then he became too much of a problem. So the Krays had him killed and kind of disappeared off. But that was the one of the more famous escapes from Dartmoor. But again, it wasn't difficult to escape. Even I, was let out every day as part of my time on the resettlement wing down there. I used to go out every day from 9 to 5 to work, and then even on Saturdays they used to let me out for a town visit. Because I'd jumped through so many hoops and I'd become so trusted that they just let me out of prison every day. I always used to joke, saying that I wish there was some sort of feature where they could drag me back into the prison, kicking and screaming. But the reality of it was I had to go and knock on the door and go and let myself back in to the prison at 5 o'clock that day, and go and spend my evening behind bars. Sleep and then get back up and go back out to work. So when I was in Portland, I was in there from a young age. There was an actual escape attempt from there. Now, it's one of the best ones I've actually experienced. The two lads that were in the cell managed to smuggle some hacksaw blades out of the workshop they were in. Now, that was a feat in itself, because normally all the tools are checked in and out, and you'd think that hacksaws and hacksaw blades would be, counted especially fucking hard, But they managed to get a couple of hacksaw blades back to their cell and cut through the bars. And it was Christmas Eve. They went out, maybe because they thought that there'd be less staff, less police, less people available to search for them, that sort of thing. So they cut through the bars Christmas Eve night, and they used sheets that they'd saved up to go down, because they were on the 3s or 4s landing, something like this, and they tied up sheets and got themselves down the maybe 40, 50, 60 foot drop down the wing, something like that. Now, they didn't get out over the wall. They ended up handing themselves in the morning. They handed themselves straight back into the block. So I don't know if they had some sort of plan, if someone was supposed to be over the other side of the wall helping them out, throwing over a rope or a ladder or something like this. But yeah, whatever their plan was, it didn't come off, and then ended up just handing themselves back into the block. Now, when this happens, then obviously they're going to get recategorized. You get to spend a bit of time down a segregation, and they'll be charged with escaping to attempting to escape, and probably get some extra days added to their sentence. But also you end up getting recategorized, so you'll end up in a tougher prison with more serious criminals, and a lot of your movements are going to be restricted, a lot of privileges are going to be restricted, and you're always going to be looked at with suspicion in that sense. Now, like I say at the beginning of the video, when I was looking at life, I did make plans with another prisoner to escape from prison, and they were semi-serious. We actually put the plan together. Now, whether it actually would have worked or whether we actually would have ever gone through with it is a different story. So I'll tell you what the plan was anyway. So when we was at Exeter Prison, we was on C wing, and this is one of the forward-facing wings. If you're looking at the prison, it's on the right-hand side from the front, and we were in the top right-hand cell. It's got a big window with big bars, and it must have been an old office or something, because all the other windows are small. But if you look up in the top right-hand corner in the front of the prison, now there's a building off to the right over there, and we thought that we could get somebody up on the roof of that building to throw over a line to us. No, we would fire over a line to them. Sorry, like a thin string line. They would tie on a thicker line that we like a rope climbing line or something like that we could hang on to, and we would then saw through the bars with some hacksaw blades that had been posted into us, hidden away in A4 envelopes that we were going to somehow try and smuggle into the prison, and then we were going to cut through the bars, use this line that had been fired over to the wall to then James Bond slide from the wing over to the building, off the wall, and out and away. We don't know if that would have worked. We never actually got to the stage of sending someone to the outside to have a look and see if it was even viable to get up onto that building. Having a quick look when I came back from court one day, I think there's cameras up on all the walls around there, so I don't think you'd ever actually get anywhere near. But that was my plan, and it was our serious plan at the time. It was serious enough we even contacted someone on the outside and planned to pay them money to come and help us get out. So it was I wasn't planning on sitting and rotting in prison for the rest of my life. I wanted to get out, and I looked at every opportunity I could take and manipulate at that point to get out. And it turned out I didn't get life, obviously, and I ended up only getting a short sentence and getting out of there. So we didn't ever actually have to action this plan. But yeah, that was what I was thinking of doing at one point. Now, I mentioned if you do ever get caught, one of the things that happens to is you get put into what they call an E-man suit, and E for escape. So yeah, the E-man suit they call it. Now, this is a tracksuit that's made up. Now, bear in mind I'm colourblind, but I think it's yellow and blue or purple checked. So it's like a big 4 square on your chest, and then down the trousers, like the jogging bottom trousers, it's again yellow and blue check. So you stand out like a motherfucker. Now, I've heard that these tracksuits are actually worth good money on eBay. If you ever find them, have a look. The E-Man prison tracksuits. Anything HMP used to get good money online, and you'd always try and smuggle out a new pair of trousers, a new pair of jeans or something that had a HMP logo on it. The little lighters all used to say HMP on them, and the the Rizla packets, that sort of thing. And obviously, you can't get any of that anymore. They don't smoke in prison. It's all little e-cigarettes, that sort of thing. Now, I said what I would do as well was also look up some prison escapes on the web. I was going to do this live just to kind of see what we find. So let's ask, see what we can get. Famous prison escapes.
Here's a summary from the Telegraph. 1. El Cheeky Chapo.
Hey,
2.
Cheeky Chapo.
The Shawshank Unredeemed.
Unredeemed.
3. Escape from Alcatraz.
That's a good
4.
one.
Catch Me If You Can. 5. The Key to Freedom. 6. The Korean Houdini.
Korean
7.
Houdini.
The Life-Saving Escapee. And 8. The Flying Criminal.
The Flying Criminal. I bet he used the helicopter method. What else we got here? Let's have a look. Famous UK prison escapes. In the Maze prison escape on the 25th of September 1983, 38 provisional Irish Republican Army members escaped from prison HMP Maze, Northern Ireland, in the biggest prison escape in Irish or British history. Now, what I was saying about the helicopter attempts, now obviously that's the fantasy kind of game, Grand Theft Auto fucking one. Now, when you get up to ACAT and double ACAT prisons, especially ones where they hold the IRA guys, they have what they call helicopter kind of blades. So on the exercise yards, you've got these poles that look like kind of maypoles sort of thing, but they're definitely not maypoles. On the top of the poles, they've got these kind of razor wire kind of strands that come down. So if a helicopter comes over, the downdraft of the helicopter whips up these razor, strands that come down to basically just form this kind of chopping hellhole kind of blades that fly around in the wind to stop anybody from doing exactly, like I say, the old helicopter escape. Let's have a look. High profile. 16 people who escaped from Nottingham prison. How do they do it? 16, that's a lot. Hundreds of inmates escaped UK jails in the past 5 years. When was this? 5th of May 2020. Blimey, shocking figure to show that 631 prisoners escaped open jails in the UK. So see what I mean? 631, that's 2 a day just walking out of open jails over the past 5 years, including rapists and murderers. Jesus Christ. Well, let's hope they let the murderers out after the rapists, and then it kind of sorts itself out, doesn't it? The most notorious escapes from Dartmoor prison, from Robber Bones to the Mad Axeman. Let's have a look at that one. The Mad Axeman is that guy I was talking to you about. So what's this? This is the Plymouth Live. Oh, accept. Fucking cocksuckers. The forbidding walls of HMP Dartmoor have kept thousands of inmates from the Napoleonic Wars to the notorious mobsters safely under lock and key for more than 2 centuries. But some of the infamous criminals have pulled off some incredible escapes, earning themselves the names such as Foxy and Robber Bones. Others, including associate the Cray twins, simply walk away, exposed to shocking lack of security in the 40s, 50s and 60s. Hasn't got that much better, to be honest with you. Actually, I'll tell you a little story about Dartmoor. There's a film called The Big Break, or something like that, and it's got Matey in it, the Irish guy. I've forgotten what he's called, but there's a film set in Dartmoor prison. I think it's called The Big Break, and it's on the resettlement wing. It was the first film I watched when I went on the resettlement wing, and it's got a scene where they run. It's set in Dartmoor prison, and they run out of the old chapel down to the gate, the fence, and they cut a square out the fence, and then they run off and get over the wall. Now, that fence is real, and it's in the prison. And I remember walking around the edge of the prison one day, and you can see it. You can see the square where they cut it out. And we were talking about it, and one of the members of staff said they would never. Oh, don't believe that. They would never cut a hole in a prison fence for a movie. And he said it just as we were walking past it. You could just look to the left, and it was there. Excuse me. So it was quite fun. But yeah, I think it's called The Big Break, and it's got an Irish guy in it. I forgot his name. But I'll put a link in the description if I remember what it is. So yeah, let's have a look again. So Frank Mitchell, aka the Mad Axeman, that's the one I was talking about. He was the one that just walked away from Dartmoor. What other escapes have we got from there? Harold Rubberbones Webb. He earned his nickname on November 19th, 1951 by prizing away the floor of his cell and squeezing through the shafts and sawing through the intake bars. How the fuck did he do that? Webb claimed he was a track worker and joined a train at Brent Tor station and reached Exeter, then hitchhiked to London, but Webb was captured in less than a week. William Foxy Fowler. Foxy. He doesn't look very foxy. You look at his picture, he looks like a criminal. London mobster, that's what he looks like. Foxy Fowler managed to escape through the toilets. Jesus Christ, how big are these people? They borrowers. One of the country's most infamous criminals. He earned his nickname by his frequent escape bids. Foxy broke out of high security Parkhurst prison on the Isle of Wight twice. He on one occasion stole a boat and sailed it single-handedly up the coast. They should have called him Catman, not Foxy. The villain was once arrested by police who discovered he had spent a night with a certain lady of leisure. This must be on Instagram. I don't know. Sleeping with a gun and bullets under his pillow. See, my pillows have to be really soft, otherwise I can't sleep. Charles Ruby Sparks, cat burglar and jewel thief. I'd love to be a cat burglar and jewel thief. Charles Ruby Sparks was part of a mass escape bid under the covert riot started by prisoners in 1932. Inmates set fire to the jail and 30 tried to break free, but a riot was quelled by armed police, and then the army based in Crown Hill Barracks got involved. Army deserter Sparks serving 5-year sentence for burglary, then called housebreaking. Blah, 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 blah. John Morgan, what did he do? In the 1800s, full of stories of the exploited prisoners who had made their escape. 1898, the tale of John Morgan was reported after he escaped from HMP Dartmoor. The newspaper report said another convict escaped from Dartmoor on Sunday night, but was recaptured last evening, Monday. That one day. After an exciting chase, the man whose name is John Morgan, alias Henry Harley, was serving his 3rd term of penal servitude, his last conviction having been at the North London Sessions in 1984, where he was sentenced to 10 years penal servitude for larceny. The alarm was raised at 8:40 p.m. on Sunday night by night watchmen in the prison who saw a couple of knotted blankets hanging out of a cell window. It was found that the ventilator of the cell had been taken out, as well as a pane of glass, and 2 of the outside iron bars broken through, probably by blows with a stool, which was in the convict's cell. Morgan then squeezed himself through the small aperture, using his blankets as a rope. He then reached the ground. He scaled the high boundary walls by means of a scaffold pole. By the time he was missed, he'd gotten clean away from the prison. Armed search parties were sent out, and mounted men and cyclists, I hate fucking cyclists, scoured the country in all directions. It was in bright moonlight, but in spite of this, the open nature of the country, Morgan managed to elude his pursuers throughout the night, and until the following afternoon, was well advanced, when he was run down near Chagford. They do great pasties in Chagford. That's over in the east of Dartmoor. He was probably heading off towards Exeter. But if he was looking for a pasty, that's probably where he was heading. A village about 12 miles on the Exeter side of Dartmoor, that's what I said. So that's about it really, yeah. So everyone's had a thought about getting out of prison. It is possible. There are ways. A lot of these prisons are old, and a lot of things can be fucking done through time now. Obviously that Shawshank one, the way that would never happen these days is because you can't dig through the wall they check behind the posters and things, so you can't really do that anymore. And yeah, escaping through a sewer, gosh, that'd be crazy. But anyway, so yeah, thanks again for listening. I do enjoy making these videos, and yeah, we'll keep knocking these out as long as you keep listening. The best thing I can actually do, if you do like these, tell a friend, share them with someone. Just send them in a message and just say, listen, just have a listen to this. It is half decent, and the guy sounds alright. But yeah, anyway, I'll make more of these videos. We've got bank holiday, and obviously in true UK fashion, the bank holiday is going to be a snowstorm. So I'll probably knock out another one for tomorrow. Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.